Welcome to the Dogtor Bros, where we have an honest discussion around vet life in and out of the clinic. My name is Jeff. I'm your doc of the day and your guide through this episode. So I am a veterinarian, a third-year resident in dermatology living in Louisville, Kentucky. And then I've got three of my closest friends here. So Adam, you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, hey everybody, I am Adam. I am also in Louisville, Kentucky, and I am currently a part-time / relief veterinarian.
Hey, I'm Chris, and I'm a general practice clinician in North Carolina. I like to do surgery for the most part, but I'll see just about anything.
And I'm Brandon. I'm a second-year internal medicine resident out in Ames, Iowa. I'm currently at Iowa State University, and just trying to keep going through my residency.
You're doing great. So I have a little game. We started this podcast, obviously, to get you guys to know who we are. And we're going to start off with a little bit of an icebreaker. So for a little bit, we'll kind of go around the room and I'm going to ask y'all some questions. And for the listeners out there, none of them know any of the questions that I'm going to ask. So let's get started. It's true. So my first icebreaker, my hot seat question is going to be for Christopher, because he hates being on the spot. Chris, I want to know from you, what do you like to do outside the clinic?
Now I like to at least work out, play disc golf when I can. Right now it's taken up mostly by my kids, so I'm going to do a whole lot of hobby stuff, but daughter's playing basketball. Love helping out with that.
I love it. Adam, what about you?
Honestly, when I'm at the clinic, I don't hang out outside the clinic very much, but usually I just park my car and then walk in.
You will find that some people here are smartasses, but you know, it is what it is. Brandon, what do you do outside of the clinic?
Depending on when I get outside of the clinic, I guess. Been working the past 7 days.
Jesus.
But this weekend, it's not too bad. Actually, I went snowboarding today, briefly.
How was that?
Not bad. Ames, outside of Ames, there's like a little hill in a town called Boone, Iowa. And when I say little hill, I mean little hill.
It's a bunny slope.
Yeah, but I don't go there often. But it's nice to get a couple of runs in when I can, just to keep my fix up, because I'm obsessed with snowboarding. But otherwise, for the most part, when I'm outside of work, just trying to keep up with studying, hang out at home, maybe go out with Lindsay, my wife, occasionally. But other than that, not too much. Ames is a pretty sleepy town.
I love that for you. Maybe you need a little calm in the middle of your very difficult residency, but we support you. You're doing amazing, and I think you're pretty. Adam, I have a question for you next on my hot seat. I should preface this with saying that all of us drink a decent amount. I don't think an inappropriate amount. Enough. We have hard jobs. So what is your favorite style of beer? Because we're all beer drinkers here. And or favorite drink?
Okay. Favorite style of beer is ironically probably an IPA. I say ironically because
I love IPAs.
Well, as we know, because you're the one that introduced me to them, because up till then it was all, Bud Light and Coors Light and all the kind of piss water beers, but
flavored water
kind of opened me that door of IPAs, and that's very quickly became one of my favorites, along with stouts, strong stouts, coffee stouts, bourbon stouts. Actually, Allison, my wife, who does not like beer pretty much at all, her favorite beer is a stout, which is kind of interesting. For somebody who doesn't like beer. Outside of beer, bourbon is probably where it's at. A nice bourbon and ginger ale. It's a nice little mixed drink that I'll have in the evening sometimes.
I love that. And I will add that I have recently become a tequila boy because my boyfriend once brought an old or aged tequila home called an añejo. And I've been obsessed for the past month at least with older tequilas. And we were just talking about before we got started recording how much Chris likes a good older one. So Chris, question, how do you feel about tequila and what is your drink of choice in general?
I'd say it used to be beer was my drink of choice. Now I'm leaning more towards tequila, mixed with some lemon and lime. Don't have a favorite brand just yet because I'm trying to figure out what I like. But
sure,
I'm definitely a fanboy of tequila. Beer, I don't know. My go-to has always been Blue Moon. So
okay, it's a classic.
I've always liked the wit beer. Yeah, it's never done me wrong. I hate IPAs.
You do hate
IPAs. Are terrible.
You know,
they're god awful.
That's okay. Me and Adam will drink them. That's fine.
You can keep your Blue Moon,
and Brandon,
and we'll have the good beer.
It's terrible.
And very important point. I have to point out that I'm drinking a margarita right now, and this recipe I actually got from Brandon.
Ooh,
1 part tequila.
Brandon's margaritas.
Brandon's margaritas. I think it's 1 part tequila.
They're so good.
Oh, I had one earlier today.
That is a favorite vet school memory.
That's for sure.
1 part tequila, 1 part lime juice, 1/2 part Grand Marnier, 1/2 part agave.
Listen, you're giving away his secrets over here.
Boom.
Cheers.
There's no secrets here.
It's out. So, Brandon, what's your...
Everyone should enjoy that.
What is your favorite drink of choice? Brand?
You know, it kind of just depends on the mood. I'm not really discriminatory, to be honest with you. For me, I think more often than not, if I'm going to drink, it'll be a beer. And it kind of just varies. Sometimes I'll go and look at what's available and I'll just like try something that I've never tried before. But I love stouts. I do not favor IPAs.
It's a lot.
I think if I had to pick one thing, like just kind of a really good crisp lager is like classic. Just an easy drinking beer. But when it comes to like a mixed drink or something, it's always going to be a margarita versus everything else. I'm not afraid of. I think I'm not afraid of. I like bourbon and whiskey too. It's just not my go-to.
Sure. And then I've always liked your margarita recipe because it was middle of the pandemic when I decided to start juicing limes from scratch, which I will say is a pain in the ass, but so worth it.
Yeah. It's a game changer.
It's a game changer.
Yeah. Mixes are fine.
Right.
They're fine. Like that's the extent of the satisfaction you'll get.
It's fine. I'll say my last icebreaker question will be for you, which is, and I think this will be an easy one. I think I know what the answer is. I think it's going to be warm and sunny. But what is your favorite place to vacation?
Oh, my favorite place will probably always be the beach. Doesn't necessarily matter which beach as long as it's warm. I love to travel, but if I had to pick one place, it'd easily be the beach, probably the Caribbean. Anywhere in the Caribbean.
I love that. My favorite place is 100% Puerto Rico. Put me on the beach. It is a gorgeous place. Highly recommend. Adam, favorite place to vacation?
Yeah, I'd probably have to go with the beach as well. I feel like that's a pretty common response there. But as far as where I've been, definitely the beach, somewhere south. As far as where I'd like to go, I mean, I'd like to travel kind of the world, Europe especially. I've always wanted to go to Ireland, so hopefully someday that'll happen. But as far as places that I've been, and I know the beach is where it's at.
And you've been the furthest out of all of 4 of us, I think.
I have been to Thailand, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, you want to tell us about that?
So it was right after first year of vet school. Me and my now wife, girlfriend at the time, went to Thailand to work with injured elephants. A lot of leftover landmines on the Thailand-Burma border there. So they had wild elephants that had actually stepped on landmines and had a lot of landmine injuries. So we spent a lot of time at an elephant sanctuary treating elephants who had sustained injuries from the landmines, and that was a crazy awesome experience. That was actually the first time I had ever left the country, so to kind of go 180 from here to Thailand was pretty crazy, especially for a month, but it was a pretty wild but pretty awesome experience.
I don't think I remember the landmines part, but that's kind of wild. Last up, Chris, favorite place of vacation? Dream vacation?
A dream vacation is different from where I would like to vacation. That's, I guess, the beach. I mean,
Give me both.
I grew up in Florida, so the beach is always kind of near and dear to my heart. Dream vacation? I guess New Zealand or Australia or both. Do it for like a month or something. That's probably where I want to go.
Why?
New Zealand just got
far. That's a very long trip. I mean, I support it, but that's a long way.
Oh, man. I think Australia started from like a little kid with Steve Irwin and the Crocodile Hunter. Maybe want to go there.
R.I.P. Steve Irwin.
Like, yeah, rip. And then New Zealand just, I don't know, that's where all like the Lord of the Rings were filmed. So like this awesome just landscape there. It has the awesome beaches, wildlife. I mean, it's just, I just want to spend probably spend a month there would be my ideal vacation.
That would be dope. And I think you should do it as soon as your kids are older.
If I can take them, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
Just gotta afford it. Yeah. Just get paid more.
To whom it may concern listening out there, Chris has 3 children?
3, and that's it. No more.
No more yet.
That's a lot of kids. I will point out I have no children, and I support every dad on this podcast, of which there are 2, because Adam has a bunch of kids.
2 kids.
Brandon and I are in solidarity because we don't have children.
I stand in solidarity with JT.
I'll shift us now into more of our quote-unquote main segment. So today is more about just getting to know us and learning about the people who are going to be chatting with you as you join us on a fun little journey of different things. And we wanted to make this the one about how they met. So a little bit more about how we met and some stories about us in general. So I guess we'll start off with a little bit more on a description of our journeys in vet school, and they will all intertwine 1000%. I guess I'll go first and say, we all went to Tuskegee University back in, oh my God, was it 2013? Anyone?
13, yeah. 13.
We all started vet school together. We all met at TOLE, T-O-L-E, Tiger Orientation Leadership Experience, which was our version of orientation. And there was like formal orientation in school, but before that was like this weekend where we felt like adult campers and all went to I think it was a 4-H style camp area. And we had some speakers, some were teachers, some lectures about vet school and surviving vet school and all that. I think that's where we officially met. And I would say my quick, super brief journey through vet school was that I came in thinking that I was going to practice avian medicine. And I'm getting a lot of faces right now because we can all see each other, because that is not where I ended up, clearly in dermatology. I went in thinking that I was going to do avian medicine, switched over to gunning for surgery, and thought that that was going to be my life's goal, which to this day, my vet school mates still text me about or confused when I say I'm in dermatology. We'll get into that deeper later on another episode, but we went from that to, gunning for surgery, ended up later outside of vet school is when I found my love for dermatology. But that's the super brief part. For some reason, I think first year I was class president, and then got involved in a bunch of different clubs, got involved with Purina, with Chris, who was my number 2. We were twins because every year they were hiring student reps. They would hire one person, and then they hired both of us because, I don't know, I think Chris is prettier than I am, so maybe I was the brains and he was the looks, to whom it may concern.
Sure, we'll keep it that way.
We'll keep it that way. And I'm trying to think of big highlights. We all were in the VBMA, so the business organization in vet school. I felt like I was bullied into it. We'll get into that later. And and then we all just followed each other, and I think we got pretty close first year and just kind of kept it going. And then I'll kind of open it up for whoever wants to talk about, give us a little bit about your vet school journey, maybe what you got out of it and how we met from your perspective.
So for me, coming into vet school, the first of you 3 that I remember meeting was Jeff. And I remember that the first time that we talked was on the bus ride back from Toll. We sat by each other. We talked for about 5 minutes, and then you fell asleep and slept the other, I don't know, hour and a half of the drive. So that was my first experience with Jeff. But no, we like Jeff said, we all met in vet school. We became super close, super tight. The biggest organization I was involved in there was the VBMA, like Jeff noted. I would also like to add, still the most impressive thing on my entire resume is that I increased funds in the VBMA as treasurer by 800%. And not a single person has asked me about that in an interview, and it kind of disheartens me a little bit. But that, to this day, is still on my resume. And I'm still waiting for somebody to ask me about it because, man, I'd love to elaborate. But anyway, but yeah, so I would...
It's all true. It's all true. That's not a joke. It's true.
Yeah, it's real.
So I kind of went through a lot of different... I don't know, I guess a lot of different areas that I was kind of interested in. At one big time, I was interested in owning my own practice. But, that didn't come to fruition yet anyway, and I don't foresee it in the future. But, ended up where I am, and I'm pretty happy with where I'm at now.
I want to say Brandon and I met on the bus at Toll is where I think I first met Brandon. And then JT and Adam and I lived at the same apartment complex.
Oh,
for the first,
my God,
6 months.
The Greens,
and then I moved. That's right. Yeah. So that's where, and then Brandon lived in his house that he had when he was a student at Auburn. So that's kind of where I remember meeting everybody. Purina was probably the best thing I did at Tuskegee, at least the most fun that I had. I just did it to play random sports with people. That's all I did it for. Literally was to do that. That was good. I got a lot of experience from the surgery, junior surgery. I think that was awesome.
You're welcome.
Kind of hope. Actually, we need some Tuskegee students on this podcast.
We will definitely get some Tuskegee students on this podcast.
Yeah, because we need to keep that going. But junior surgery was kind of the thing that's made me so interested into surgery. That's why I like doing it now. I wanted to own my own practice at one point, but then I kind of got a sweetheart deal where I'm at now, so it doesn't make sense to do it now. It's still not off the table, but pretty happy where I'm at now. Working as an associate, actually for a former Tuskegee graduate as well.
Chad.
Yeah, Chad.
Shout out to Chad.
Oh, good old Chad. He's also my workout buddy.
Is he?
Yeah. Yeah, I go to his house every day to work out after on my lunch break.
Okay, I will point out 2 things. Number one, I said you're welcome about junior surgery because I was extremely involved in getting that going as a third year, because there's always a person in the class, it's the vice president in the class, who has to like help organize it from the student side of things. And unfortunately, that was me, and it was a lot of work. I'll just say it was a lot of work. And that was when I wanted to do surgery, so I was like, this will sound good. I don't regret it at all, but it was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. And then I'll also point out that Chad was another student rep of ours, and I love that y'all work together.
Mm-hmm.
Being a student rep.
Yeah, just keeping it going.
It's amazing. Ram?
So yeah, that leaves me. I think when it comes to Toll was a really big part of, I think, all of our initial kind of welcoming to Tuskegee. I do remember talking to Chris on the bus. I think I remember talking to Shun as well. Shun's a friend of ours that we'll hopefully have on in the future. And yeah, I just remember just being so glad that I got into vet school. I think everyone probably has that feeling as well. I had a pretty easy transition locally because I went to Auburn for undergrad. Auburn's like 20 minutes away from Tuskegee. So I ended up just living where I'd lived in undergrad, which is really convenient and an easy transition. But I think some of the biggest memories from vet school, I was kind of designated class photographer in a way.
You had a nice camera.
I was like the what is it, historian, quote unquote historian for like 3 different organizations. So yeah, no, it was fun, and I still like have all those photos and cherished memories. Like I'm sure people will look back on that, like just in case y'all didn't catch it, like 2013 to 2023. That's where we are right now.
Yeah,
that's 10 years.
Holy cow!
So we're starting this podcast almost a decade from when we met. Definitely a decade from the year.
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, we started in what?
13.
When did
Fall
we start?
13.
August of 13.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that those are some of the biggest things. I'm fortunate to have these guys in my life for sure.
You. So then,
Happy 10-year, guys.
Happy. Why are we aging so quickly? I'm going to shift gears and ask the group another question. This time, what was more of a challenging, or maybe one of the most challenging moments that you had from vet school? And I'll go last this time, but what do y'all think?
I can jump in as Brandon again. So I think for me, more of like clinical years. I know a lot of schools do it differently. Some do like 2 years of clinics. Some do like only 1 year of clinics. I guess the challenge for us was, I think all of us might be able to relate to this, but like Tuskegee had a relatively low caseload overall, like as a whole. And especially in all of our interests as small animals. So the caseload tended to lean large animal when we had a caseload. And I think that for somebody like me who, like, I had this idea of probably going into specialty at some point in my career, getting that early, I don't know, exposure to some of that stuff was just not there, which is fine because we learned a lot in the clinics that we had and got to explore other places. And it was just a challenge to like get hands-on experience as a preparation for our board's examination to become a veterinarian in the first place.
And one thing I'll add to that is, although we did have lower caseload, we did, I think, or I at least felt like it was compensated by the amount of time we got to spend away from school. So getting to do other rotations away from Tuskegee at busier practices and schools was helpful for sure.
Totally.
But that was a big challenge, I think. 100% agree.
For me, I'd say, so it's not really, I don't know, I guess you wouldn't really call it a challenge, but I'm just thinking of the transition to vet school, obviously the classes that you take there are hard, harder than what you're harder than what you've experienced in undergrad.
Vet school's so hard.
So yeah, I think it goes without saying that the classes themselves, were challenging. But then again, when you start to get into that clinical year, just having that kind of mindset shift of, you're kind of juggling classes along with clinics and along with your rotations. So you're not only in the classroom setting, but you're getting a little bit more in the quote unquote real world setting that you're going to be in. So just kind of a different dynamic than what you're used to. So, there's certainly an adjustment there, when you get to those clinical years, transitioning to that. And, I in a sense that kind of prepares you more so for, when you're out and about in the real world doing your clinicals, but, with practice and whatnot. But, I just feel like that was, kind of almost like a mindset shift, that came with that, getting used to, that side of things. And then also going into fourth year, not between third year and fourth year, not really having a summer break. Up until that point, we had always had a summer break, and we had a couple weeks off in between that, and then you roll right into fourth year. So again, that's just kind of different than what you're used to.
I guess that wasn't really like a crazy challenging part of vet school. I think it's all just was hard, like just at different points. Like second year was like the hardest, I guess, from a learning in books perspective. Like there was just so many tests, so many things going on at the same time. So that was kind of difficult. Clinics was hard, but in a different way. If I had to choose, I'd prefer clinics over anything in books because that's just hands-on learning, which I prefer. But then you're working more with a team, and you're working with your rotation mates, so that has its own challenges. So I don't know. There wasn't really one thing in vet school that was like, this is like the hardest thing. But I guess it's more just a combination of different things at the same time. Actually, you know what? I remember now my hardest part.
Please.
NAVLE, internal medicine, and having a baby. That wins.
Please. This is Jeff. Please tell us about, and I will use profanity here. It's my favorite month of the year, and I called it Chris Shit Month. Chris, could you tell us about Chris Shit Month?
Yes. So Chris Shit Month, as JT coined it, was when we had the NAVLE. It's from November through December, right? Is when we could take the test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was happening, and then internal medicine at Tuskegee for my rotation time dropped at that time, and it was a 3-week rotation instead of the typical 2-week rotation. And my wife was pregnant with our first child, our daughter. And I thought, there's no way she's going to come on her due date. So I'm just going to take the NAVLE on the first day that it was offered, which was November 14th. Woke up. So in lieu of studying for everything and doing everything, we went to, started internal medicine rotation. Then I think it was like the next day or two was like the opening for the test. Went to an hour away. Columbus is where we went to take the test. Went with Shun, spent the night with him there. We shared a hotel room. Didn't sleep a wink, and I'm going to blame Shun.
Oh.
And I told him this to his face. He kept me up all night snoring. I threw pillows at him.
I have experienced Shun snoring too.
Yes. So I love you, Shun, but I threw like probably 4 pillows at Shun.
Shout out to Shun.
Yeah. So anyways, go to the testing facility, call Natalie, and I was like, are you good? Are you having you're not having the baby? And she lied. She was. She was already having contractions, but she didn't tell me. I went and took the test. I think it was like at 9 o'clock. And then Shun rolls in at 10 o'clock and still finishes an hour before everybody. Just throwing that out there. Shun. Went, took the test, found out later that I passed, got out of the test, called Natalie, and she goes, meet me at the hospital because Adam's now wife, then girlfriend Allison, took Natalie to the hospital because she was having contractions. And then we had our daughter, and then 2 days later, I was back in internal medicine.
And this is Jeff. So just like an all around, just a lot, just a lot.
It was a cluster. It was a cluster. Hey, we made it through.
Absolutely made it through. And A, proud of you. B, I'll point out Shun, which I think Brandon already mentioned at least once. He's another classmate of ours, and we will absolutely have him on the pod in the near future. He's a large animal vet and currently a PhD candidate in Georgia because he's not tired of school yet. So shout out to you, Shun. I am 1000% sure you will listen to this podcast and hear this. Text you later. Love you. Bye. I'll mention my more challenging moment for me in vet school in general as a whole. Second year was super hard for me because it is not clinical. We go from first year, which is like 4 to 5 classes, to literally doubling the classes. And we're taking, I think it's like 8 classes and then 9 classes, fall, spring, something along those
Something
lines.
like that, yeah.
Something like that. And I struggled real hard. At Tuskegee, I don't think you can fail any classes. Don't quote me on this. I don't think you can fail any. I think you can get up to 2 Ds or something like that. And I think I almost failed out of our, whatever the name of our statistics course was. And I literally, because I have no shame in this, it's whatever at this point. I almost failed whatever class had the most math because throughout my entire life, I'm terrible at math. And there's more math than I was expecting in veterinary school beyond conversions. Like, I can converge on you all day long. But anyways, I almost failed that class. It came down to the last test, and I most definitely went to the professor and just begged for help, and it was far too late for help. And you know what? I passed. So who's to know what happened between the final and my grade? But I think definitely a little angel or something out there wanted me to move on to the next class. Otherwise, I might have been in a different class than everybody else here. But pass it. Ow! Oh, God.
I'm so glad you're not in a different class. That would have sucked.
It didn't happen. I did move on. And so I'll ask another question to the group along the getting to know us lines. And I would like to know, some of these have already come up. Give us a funny story from vet school.
I got one. I think this is JT's favorite funny story to go with Chris Shipmonth. And it didn't happen until after. I found out, so I had to make up the days that we had our kid. Because that's a big deal to make up your classes that you miss for having a kid. But, when a buddy of yours gets to go to a Beyonce concert and not have to make up that day.
This is Jeff. I will point out, all of this is alleged. Allegedly, Chris had a kid. Allegedly, and had to make up some days for the birth of his child. And allegedly,
said kid.
I don't know. It's all fuzzy now. I don't know. I might have had, it's a lot. taken off a day. I don't even remember how it happened, but I just remember I went to a Beyonce concert, and you need to see Beyonce. I'm trying to get tickets tomorrow. They drop here in Louisville. That is the whole thing. But I saw her our 4th year, and I might have taken a day off from rotations. I don't remember. And I think Chris is just salty for reasons that can't be explained. I don't know. I may or may not have made up that day. You know what? I ain't got no kids. You chose childbirth, and I did not. I think maybe God just loves Beyonce more than he loves your children.
We'll go with that.
Next funny story. Please. I've got a funny story, and it is not during vet school, but one of my favorite stories from the 4 of us that I think is a lovely time to bring out is the fact that, okay, listeners, we're all extremely close, and 3 out of the 4 of us are married. And a lot of us have been in each other's weddings.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about this.
This came to my mind before you started talking, and I'm glad.
Let's definitely talk about this. I like this.
Maybe my memory...
I hate this.
Maybe my memory is like the best. I remember, and this is Jeff again, I've been in Adam's wedding. I feel like I've been in Brandon's wedding. You know what I don't remember? I don't know. Brandon, Adam, do y'all remember being in Chris's wedding?
Okay, so this is Adam. So I think we were there.
You're definitely there.
We were
but
there.
I don't think, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think we were in the wedding.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And I don't know if a word, Chris?
I'm sorry.
The words we've been waiting to hear this whole time.
I'm sorry.
It helps. It helps. I'm not saying that's okay, but it helps.
I think I've said I'm sorry for the past 10 years. Right?
This is Jeff. It'll be until we die.
I know.
For general reference, there was weddings. I am the only one who's not married. God willing, if I get married one day, the 3 of you 1,000% will be in my wedding. That's a given. But each of these 3 other gentlemen on the podcast got married one after another, summer after summer. Chris was first after first year of vet school, and I don't know if he hated us. That's my assumption, but he was like, y'all can come, I guess, but sit over there. I don't know. That's my interpretation. That's my genuine memory of the situation.
I hate this.
I don't know. That's my story.
That's not what happened. It's okay. If we had gotten married a year later, or the summer later, you guys would have been in it. I had decided who was in the wedding before vet school.
And he was like, not these raggedy clowns. So these other guys.
I mean, by that point, the wedding, I had known you about a year. But before that, 2 months. I should have seen it coming.
Anyways, any other funny stories?
I'm sorry, guys.
So yeah, I got 2 quick ones. 2 short quick ones.
Please.
They're not really stories. They're just kind of comments. Well, one's a story. So anytime, I won't name names professor-wise, but there was one particular professor. So this is Adam. I go by Adam. My middle name is Adam. My first name is Bryson. So on the roll, I was Bryson. Okay? And Brandon would sit behind me, kind of catty corner, to where kind of I was directly in the line sight of him and the professor. Okay? And that this particular professor loved to call on people in class. And for some reason, she really wanted to call on Branson. And me and Brandon, being Bryson and Brandon, would just kind of stare at each other. And she would get really irritated that Branson was not answering her question. And I still, to this day, do not know which one of us she was talking to. The other one I have, the other story. Same professor, actually, in this particular story. So this was first year. And I had a new tablet that I had won from one of the clubs. I don't know. It was like...
Hey, what kind of tablet was it?
It was an Apple. And if I had known then what I know now, I would have thrown it in the trash. I'm very anti-Apple at this point. That's a whole nother story.
An iPad, yeah.
But,
Oh, man.
anyway, so I had first gen Apple. It was free. What can I say? And this was right when, this was back in the day, because we're old now, but there were still apps. And so I was on the Plants vs. Zombies kick. And so I was in the front row of class, and I was fucking going ham on some zombies, I tell you what. And Jeff is sitting next to me. And this professor stops mid-sentence, and she points at me and says, "Is he really taking notes that fast?" And Jeff, I didn't even catch it. I had no idea she was even talking about me. And Jeff, being the bro that he is, just looks at her and says, "Yep."
I remember that day because I was sitting behind you guys.
Oh, God.
And after class, she's like, "I know you weren't taking notes that fast."
Oh, man.
Okay.
That is, first of all, hilarious, and that is like, I don't know, bro moment number 955. We're just like on a whim in class. I was just like protect your best friend. No matter what, we all have to stick together. Branson.
Which one?
I think I already went.
So, I guess the funniest one for me, and this is more of like a theme through like the latter half of vet school, because Tuskegee was in the process of like revamping and getting things updated and doing a bunch of stuff at the time. So in doing that, there were a lot of signs around the school, and each of them said, "Pardon our progress." And, you think like, oh yeah, that's a simple thing. But being in vet school, vet school students struggling to just make it day to day sometimes, that was like our mantra. Pardon our progress was our mantra.
100%.
We every time we saw those signs, it was a reminder that we are on our way there, and so is Tuskegee as well. But I happen to get married.
This is fine.
And this is fine. This is fine. I think people can relate to that if they're familiar with that meme. But for the pardon our progress, like I don't know, we were at a low in that like second year going into third year. Second year was rough with all those classes, and I got engaged and we had a little bachelor party, and we took one of those signs on a field trip.
To the beach, yeah.
To the beach, and that was our mantra for the rest of the vacation. There are plenty of other funny stories, but that one's always going to be pretty funny.
And this is Jeff, and I will point out that as we engage on this podcast journey, occasionally you may have to pardon our progress as we figure out how to podcast. And I'll also point out that I did go by the nickname JT in vet school, so that'll come out a lot. And then I am most positive I'll get roasted on that now and or later, because now I generally just go by Jeff. But like, it's fine. And
now and before vet school.
Who are you?
Just so everybody's clear. Like, literally everybody knows him as Jeff, except for us.
That was his vet school personality, was JT.
Yeah, it's a persona, if you will. Do you know the real me? Unclear. And as we kind of get towards the end of our inaugural first episode, I do have a singular question for the group to kind of ease our own, or I'll rephrase, ease our way out, as we're all, I'd say, fairly certain nerds, Marvel fans, Star Wars fans, etc., etc. I would like to know each your favorite Avengers character. I'll even go first on this one, while the chatting brains are thinking brains. While everybody's cogs are turning, and my first one, which is very spot on, because listeners, I am the only black person here, and I love Black Panther for the very obvious reason, because he's black. Also, and now she's black. I would say not hard spoiler. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Black
Spoiler
Panther, we'll put it in the show notes. If you haven't seen Black Panther by now, it's on you. I won't say who it is, but you can see it in that trailer. I will take that to my deathbed. You can kind of see it in the trailer. Not who, but you can kind of tell in the trailer. But
It is in the
anyways,
trailer now. Yeah.
my favorite Avengers character is Black Panther. I love the first movie. I enjoyed the second movie. I won't get into it in too much detail, but who do y'all like?
This is Adam. Right around the time Age of Ultron came out, I actually really started to like Vision. I thought he was pretty badass. But honestly, after that, Wanda, Scarlet Witch, quickly became one of my favorites. She is pretty hardcore. She kind of has her ups and downs, I guess, if you will, as a character. But she's insanely powerful, and I just think she's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna go with Scarlet Witch. Final answer.
Received. I love that answer. I love Scarlet Witch. Yeah, let's go.
That's a tough one. This is Brandon again. Yeah, for me, God, and there's like so many characters right now. Just like with all the decades of movies that have come, or I guess over a decade of movies that have come out. I don't know. I've always been a big fan, and this is kind of maybe cliche, but Iron Man is like one of my favorites. I guess less of the arrogant stuff, because it's like definitely the opposite of me personality wise, but the fact that he's like, at the end of the day, nothing special. He's just able to make himself into something powerful. So like in theory, like anyone could be that way, which I think is really cool. And yeah, just being able to build yourself to that, capability to sit among amazing people, and in the Avengers and Marvel universe, like sit among these powerful people by just really working hard. And then of course with him, he also helps that he has a bunch of money as well. But yeah, I think Iron Man would be my favorite.
He does have a lot of money.
Yeah, that tends to help.
I agree, pretty dope though.
It tends to help a lot.
Love that answer. Sounds good. Chris, what's yours?
I guess mine would be Captain America, and both of them. I do like
Heyo.
the old one and now the new one. So
Spoilers again.
At this point,
he's been out for a while
it's on
now,
you.
so it's not as much as that's
Okay.
It's been out for about a year, right?
yeah, at least.
I don't know. Anyways, that's who I prefer.
I mean, I think that's a fantastic answer, and you're most definitely the Captain America of our group. You're my Captain America, Chris. Thank you so much for listening to the Dogtor Bros. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts. We will love you forever. It would also help us out if you could share this episode with others who may be interested in today's topic. You can also tell us what you want to hear. You can drop suggestions in the comments or shoot us an email at thedoctorbros@gmail.com or DM us at the Dogtor Bros on Instagram. You can also reach me at DermDrJeff, DermDogtorJeff on Instagram and TikTok.
And this is Adam. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Adam DVM. That's DRADAM DVM.
And this is Brandon Mason. You can also find me on Instagram at Dogtor Mason IM.
And this is Chris, and you can reach me on Instagram at Dr.ChrisHernandez. That's Dr.ChrisHernandez.